Welcome back. Thank you again for joining us for the good old Passing the Peace Pipe. I'm here with your Chief Blitz Freak, and as always, your Pack of Shamans here right with you.
How you all doing?
We're doing the old-fashioned sayings, and what do they really mean? The stories behind the old proverbs that you might hear, like bloody double-bladed sword and stuff like that.
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
That too. Which brings me to kind of like my first one is like too many cooks spoil the gravy or soup, if you will. And this is an old fashioned one. It kind of derives from when back in 1890 with high society and all that, when you'd have your, if you're a rich person at your mansion and whatnot, you'd have your in-house cooks and whatnot. But if you're throwing a big gala or a ball, you might hire some extra catering. And but because if you hire too many cooks, then when they're all cooking something together, like a gravy or a broth or something, each of them could add in an own ingredient. And because it's an event with a lot of shit going on, they could be uncoordinated and add too much of, or just add, the wrong stuff, not be in one mind, having the right vision for the bloody soup. Because imagine you're trying to make like a chicken soup and whatnot, and then someone just comes in and be like, "Oh yeah, we're making fish and orange, right?" And
So
then
it's a literal saying.
yeah,
It actually is. It is what it says it is.
Yeah. Well, it originates from that. It's like, yes, don't hire too many cooks, but it's said now, too many cooks spoil the gravy. It's like when you have too many people on a task or too many people managing a task, it can become all uncoordinated. So it also these days has more refined itself to don't put too many people on one task sort of thing, because then it'll just get muddled up.
Sayings are weird because it depends on the task. You're right. You have to apply the saying to the correct time, because sometimes the more the merrier.
Yeah,
they might say.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I don't know. With like a lot of tasks, there will be or any activity, there's a point where there's reaches too many people. Like even with a football game, you could maybe, instead of having the usual number, put fucking 40 to 50 players on a team, have them really fill up a field. But that could be interesting. You could get like two balls going then maybe. But there'd be a point where just adding more people to it, there'd be a point where you just couldn't play a football game, no matter how many.
That's true, and it's a nice saying.
Because you'd have to like go off the field and stuff, and then you wouldn't be playing football anymore. You'd be playing something else, and you've spoiled the task or activity. So I feel it can be specific, but it can also apply to anything at the same time.
Like too many podcasters spoil the podcast.
That's it.
I got a few sayings myself that some I've heard over the years where people use them wrong, like don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that, because I was told this, that it implies that if someone gives you a gift, you shouldn't question the gift or be a jerk about it. But I thought that it might mean, I had different ideas of it, but I'll just go straight to what it actually means. When someone gives you a horse, because it is a living being that you have to look after, you want to make sure that you're not taking an item that you are going to have to put down immediately after. Now, a lot of people thought that looking in the mouth was the way that you judge the health of a horse. So you see if the teeth all look fine and everything's fine. But you actually are meant to check the hooves, and that's where you see if there's anything critically wrong with the horse. So you actually don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You look a gift horse in the hooves, and that's when you decide whether you're going to accept the gift or not. But I'd never heard it like that. I'd always heard that you simply don't question gifts given to you. But that's silly, because someone could give you a free apartment, you think you've got a great deal, and next thing you know, you're in ridiculous debt with a body corporate. So I thought
you were going to end that with a body under the floor.
No.
Good fuck.
So that's another saying that's actually literal, but we've sort of converted it and twisted the meaning over the years. So it actually means nothing to a point now. Unless someone's giving you an actual horse.
Yeah.
What you got? What you got, Shaman?
What you got? What you got? I got a watched pot never boils. You know what I'm saying? A watched pot never boils.
But it does.
Yeah, that's the thing. What it does. What
That's
the
a
fuck?
weird saying.
What
It does.
the fuck?
It will boil.
It will boil.
If you're watching a pot and there's no heat under it, it will never boil.
No, of
but the
course not.
assumption is
That you've not a moron and you've got some heat under there, and then that's it. And you've put water in there. Those are key ingredients to boiling something. But no, it's actually.
I don't like that saying.
No.
What does it mean?
It's about fucking perception and everything, which is just like, whoa, it's a lot deeper. You know, it wasn't. Thought we're jumping in the kiddie pool here. This is like, no, this is like 2 meters. But yeah, it's about if you're cooking or anything, don't just sit there and watch your bloody pot, because it'll feel like it never boils. And that's the same thing. If you're wanting time to go faster, if you sit there and look at the clock, it fucking takes forever. Like, yes, it'll eventually get there, but god damn, does it feel like it takes a lot longer than it does. So it means when you're cooking something, you know, boil it, and then don't, you know, do something else.
But
Start chopping your carrots or
that's a good
whatnot.
saying.
Start it boiling. Yeah, exactly. So it is a good saying, but it doesn't make any fucking sense when you say it.
No.
Yeah.
It works as saying. It doesn't work as a literal one. This
Yeah,
one
exactly.
is not literal.
No,
that
not at
pot
all.
will boil.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just take a long fucking time if you're looking at it. So it's more supposed to be reminding you about perception of time.
And it is a weird one, because I know obviously all of these sayings have weird rules to them. But if you did watch the pot boil and you believed that you could speed it up with mind, because some people believe they can do things with their mind, maybe you'd think the pot is boiling quicker.
Well, you placebo effect
Because it's a
yourself.
perception. You placeboed yourself into having a different perception. But I like that. That's a good saying.
You'd have to be very confident in yourself.
You would. You would. There's some good sayings, and then there are some not so good. I've got a don't throw baby out with the bathwater. Now,
Why not? What if the kid's been fucking annoying you, giving you a wag all night? Fucking.
well, it seems weird because we also, for this saying to make any sense, you'd have to picture the people in an old metal tub, because
Yucky.
how are you going to... No one's scooping water out of their house and hoiking dirty water out of the bathtub.
Yeah. No, it's not an actual bathtub. It'd be like almost just a giant metal bucket that's very, very... hasn't got a lot of height but a lot of width to it.
They're saying that this is only a saying that means you don't get rid of something good in your life just to get rid of something bad, or vice versa. But
I think it was it's like when you're clearing stuff out, make sure to check that you're really sure that you want to throw it away or something.
Yeah, and it has this meaning. But my mum, who grew up in Scotland, told me that the real meaning of it is that when you used to have a bath, you'd only have enough hot water and everything for one bath. So you'd fill the tub up, and then the first person to have the bath would usually be the primary worker of the house. Would be a coal miner or something like that. They come home, they have the bath, and it pretty much turns black. Then the second parent has the bath, then the oldest children, like downwards, till eventually you get to the baby, which seems the opposite of what we do today. You put the baby in the dirty bath water. That's what baby wash is in. And you actually have to be careful that you don't walk away from the baby for a second, because no one else would see the baby drowning, because it's just dirty water. So it's actually saying about watching the baby in the water, because it's so black and you don't want the baby to drown in the water. You would never know until you tip the water out and you tip a dead baby out with the water. Do not throw the baby out with the bath water. Watch the baby.
Jesus, no, but wait, holy shit.
It's a literal saying.
Wait, fuck, that's a lot more sinister than what it was gonna be. No, that's even, but that's
it's like pool safety.
No. Yeah, kind of, but this is at the point, don't throw the baby out. You're already throwing it out. It means check the body for a fucking dead baby before you throw it out the window so you can cover your fucking tracks. What the fuck sort of shit is that?
I didn't even think about it that way, but people did used to have 8-9 kids in a family.
Yeah,
so you don't miss
suck.
the 3
That's
or 4
right.
that vanish.
8 or 9, never a solid number. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I like these sayings.
Fucking hell.
What do you got? You got
People back there were fucking hardcore. No, you fucking do another. I'm fucking tending to do my business.
Okay.
I gotta calm down after such talk.
I know. I'm trying to think of a nicer saying. Uh, what do we got? If a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Well, that just seems obvious. I mean, I'm sure people apply it to other things, but if you've caught a bird and you have to let go of that bird to try to get two more birds, that's silly. But it's a stupid saying because I'm going to try to catch those birds with my free hand and I'm going to hold the bird in the other hand. Or I'm going to kill the bird really quick because I can squish it and then I'm going to immediately attack the two birds in the bush. So the saying's got to be, don't give up something you have in the hopes of trying to get something better. But these sayings must have existed around medieval times, and even like 100 years ago or 50 years ago it made sense. But we literally live in societies that tell you the absolute opposite. If you have a job, but you could get a job that pays twice as much, which is better and you really want it, but you have to risk giving up that first job to get the second, should you go for it? Well, I would say yes. I'm sure most people would say you go for it because we're not in a position where we're starving. We can reach out.
I'd say
for
no.
better.
Today's job market is fucked. You have no idea why they hire anyone these days.
Okay, actually, you're right. I haven't looked for work since the corona thing has
Shit's
occurred.
fucked. As a guy doing a job that requires a degree but doesn't have a degree for it, shit's fucked.
So the saying would actually apply at the moment a lot more than ever. If you had a job now, you would not give it up in the hopes of something better.
God no. God no. What a risk in these times where it's like fucking unemployment's going global rate these days. It's like, holy shit.
Okay, so there you go. At the moment, don't give up your jobs.
Hang on.
You can check the global rates,
Global.
which is never going to give you real numbers because there are people who don't go to work, but they're not considered unemployed.
So would you say it'd be higher of whatever I find out?
Much higher, much higher.
Holy shit.
What's the unemployment rate?
Oh, sorry, I haven't got a total one, but the highest unemployment rate is Senegal at 50%.
That's a lot.
50%.
That's a lot.
That is every second person.
Unless it's a great country where it's an option to not go to work and they're all like, well, we just don't want to work and we do well off of the resources that we have. I seriously doubt that's what's happening in that country.
Yes.
Well, I think you really proved your case. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
By the looks of it, it's basically 5 to 10% everywhere that there is data, if not or higher. So the only places that have less than 5% unemployment is Russia, China, Japan, and maybe like 2 other European countries. I can't exactly see. Anyway,
What else you got?
back on topic. Did you know, with this unemployment rate and all this shit, that it's still so hard to get good help these days?
Is it?
It is.
Is it?
But that's nothing to do with employment or anything. Or is it? I don't know. We'll break it down as I haven't decided as I'll explain this. So what this means is basically back in the day, if you're a rich person and whatnot, if you had a nice fancy mansion on like, you know, just out on the outskirts of the country by some village, you would be basically almost like the baron of that village. You could basically buy all the land and everything and be the richest person around. And so you would have servants or whatnot, but those servants could pass away, and you would hire from the village, or you'd hire from the village straight up. It depends on their preference, whatever, family history. I'm not assuming anything of these rich noble barons. But the offer would be like you'd get board, place to stay, boards, eating, staying somewhere, and you'd also.
It's lucky you corrected that. I would assume a lot of people nowadays would go, "Well, you get bored? How's that a good thing?"
But you'd also get paid as well, and so for a lot of people with what jobs you could do in the village, it'd be like farming, repairing some, maybe like a small craft. There wouldn't be that much opportunity, even though for a craftsman, you'd probably get like a smith and maybe someone that work on tools and stuff. But yeah, you'd even like if you're a woodsman or like a chippy, the house is already there and stuff. You're not buying that. You wouldn't be expanding that much. Hard to know though. But because there's not that much work around, not much to do, especially if you have all these skills and whatnot and are quite a competent worker and everything. And like if you're like would be also like someone that's an intellectual as well, that would do like research projects, invent things. Not much work for them as well. So they could present themselves to be good servants and have good qualities to be a servant, because even though, to be a servant, it's easy work, it is quite easy work for them, and they can do it quickly because it is easy for them and they can do it well. And if they do most of their jobs quickly and well, then they can just have their own free time and do what they want with their free time, as long as they still can be called on and around for like meals. As long as they'd probably do a set of chores, and then they'd be available for the meals and be called on. But in between that, they'd probably just could go in their room, do their own research and projects. So you could get quite competent and intelligent people to be help and servants, because it'd be quite a good deal on both ends. Therefore, you have all these really smart people doing all these your tasks really quickly and everything. And so they'd be really good help. But as the Industrial Revolution happened and everything, there was more, factory workers, people inventing machinery, working on machines, more cities and everything. All these people started getting jobs and everything. And then all that was left around were kind of like the more older staff that had just been doing this and know this their whole life, or literally people that don't give a shit about working or anything and just do it for a bit of money and somewhere to sleep. And so, they're not working anything, they've got all day to do their chores, so they don't try and do them quickly or anything. They're just like, oh, fuck it, they'll get done when I'm finished doing them, and, I live here already. Oh, well, a lot of times they wouldn't be living there anymore as well. They'd just be coming and going as a day job. Whereas if you're there and you live there as well, imagine you're living with your boss at your fucking work. You do your work well, because he could be able to come to your room and be like, hey, what the fuck is this? What the shit? You're going to do this now. You'd be like, oh, what the fuck? So you get extra incentive to do your shit well if you're living there. But if you just travel back in there just for some shitty job that you don't like, you're not going to do it nearly as well.
Oh, you're right. Because they can't bother you at home.
Yeah, exactly. And so it would be harder to get good help these days.
It would. And I guess the way you can treat people as well would always be slightly changing.
Yeah,
the worse you can treat someone, maybe the better that makes them.
Yeah, and this is also like before the wars and everything as well. So there would, all the really good, nice, strong men are also gone off to war, and so you haven't got like, there's always usually in the fancy mansions like a big burly gardener and shit, and so they're gone, and you have wood choppers and stuff. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. All I'm saying is everyone that's got shit better to do with their time ain't doing that anymore, and people that don't give a fuck and just do it for the money because they can just do whatever for the money. That's what they're doing.
Well, I got a couple of real quick ones that I think are modern ones that just add a little bit to it. A lot of people, when they grow up, I don't know if this is still something people's parents tell them, they go, if people don't like you for who you are, they're not your friends. Now, I think it counts in the sayings because so many people's parents have said it exactly like that, and people say it like that. And you go, how is that as a modern saying? How does that help? How does that help anyone? Now, I know they're saying it to imply you shouldn't have to change so other people like you, but maybe you're a fucking jerk. And if you're not willing to change, then eventually you will meet people who do like you. And they're either going to be fucking jerks that you probably can't stand yourself, or they're going to be people that you're capable of bullying and they're just going to enjoy being bullied. It's actually terrible. If people don't like your children, you should work out why they don't like your fucking children. And help the child. Tell them why they're a little prick. That saying I find is weird. And
Well, that could go either end though, because it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, well, you shouldn't really want to change to fit into like a crowd, but like, you know, if it was like a bunch of flat earthers, don't change to fit into them, stay your course. But yeah, it's also, I get what you mean. Maybe if you're the problem, then yeah, you kind of need to reflect and look at yourself and change that.
yeah,
Change that
and
up.
I don't think parents are giving
So
directions when they say this. They're just saying the same.
Yeah, no, it's very directionless.
It's like, but I want people to like me. Life seems like it would be much more enjoyable with a friend.
It's the fucking sane equivalent of blindfolding the kid and spinning him around.
Well, if we've got time, I'll do one more because I'm like, I heard
We
this.
got all the time.
Okay, well, I heard this one years ago, and I don't know if my friend listens to the podcast, but it was so funny when he said it one day, and I've heard so many sayings, but this one I actually remembered. And then it turned out other people thought the same as him afterwards. We were going to have a sparring match in the backyard, and I think we would have been doing everything. Like, we were, like, throwing fists, and we were, like grappling and all sorts of submission shit.
Were you twisting nipples?
Yeah, everything.
Oh!
Everything was fair. And he goes, I think we were doing no face shots, and that's why we were working more on grappling and stuff, but punching the body and stuff. And we said, what rules? And usually, like, you know, I actually have to say, like, no stick in the eyes or something like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he said, no holes barred. Now, if you're a non-Australian listening to what I'm saying, this is probably going to be a weird conversation. He was saying, no HOLES barred. I said, fuck off. All holes are barred. I think what you mean, sir, is no holds, HOLDS, are barred. He was convinced I was wrong, which scared the shit out of me because I was like, what the fuck are you going to do to me? And that's when he realised, it must be holds, which makes sense because it came from fights, or maybe the wrestling, maybe the WWE used to say it, no holds barred matches.
Jesus.
It comes from them, and I can assure you there has never been a wrestling or fighting tournament in the world that has agreed to a no HOLES barred tournament. And I thought that was interesting. People who go with sayings or rules that they're just mishearing. They're just mishearing or misunderstanding the saying. It made me laugh, and this happened years and years ago.
Do you think
and I
he's
still
got
remember it
anyone
for now.
agreed to no holes barred?
I don't think he asked anyone after that, because you know me, I
No,
would have
but
been
before
asking.
then,
Have you
has he got any stories?
Oh, I'll have to ask. He might be our first guest, or second guest.
God.
Okay, well that was all I had. We talked a little bit about unemployment as well.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
I know, a few sayings. You never know what you're going to pack into the peace pipe and what's going to happen when you hit that
Exactly.
peace pipe.
Exactly. You never know what comes out of that pipe. Anyway, that's all for us this week. Thank you again for joining us. It's been great times.
Yeah.
I'm the Packer.
I'm Blitz Freak.
Peace out.